special city council meeting today. It is August 6, 2015, and it is 10 a.m. Thanks everybody for short notice and being able to attend today. I appreciate that. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If I can get everybody to rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask Sandy to take roll for us.
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan. Alan Keeland. Scott Perchatsky. Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Jillian Peterson.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
7 present. We have a quorum.
Just so we understand, we do have 7 of the 10 people here, so we do have a quorum that we need. So a majority vote then today would be 4 votes, right? We're all under that understanding. Okay. Sandy, if you would read the open meeting law for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you. We have an agenda. I don't think there were any additional handouts besides what you received yesterday. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve that agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Hackett, that we approve the agenda as printed. Or any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Henry, Brennan, either one of you guys, you want to get us going here?
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for taking time out of your schedules on Thursday morning to come here. Definitely excited about this project and presenting this opportunity in front of you guys this morning. Staff has been working with Presto. They are a company that's located out of Waupaca and also Appleton on acquiring the facility at 1999 Royalton Street, which is the old Dana Brake Affinia building. They are looking to expand their operations into that facility and hopefully long-term expand on the existing current footprint that's out there. We've been working with representatives from Presto since pretty much April on this project, going back and forth and looking at different options of how to move them into the business or into the existing building, and how to provide some transportation services to that site. And that we have been working for a couple months on trying to get some rail service to that property. The original thought, in development of that industrial park was to provide a rail spur off of the existing rail line that's out there, but unfortunately, that expense far exceeds what we can afford or Presto can afford at this time, and been looking at some alternative options about trying to get their material to site that fit in their numbers and brought them into our community. Now, as mentioned, I mean, we came to the game, I think, a little bit late on this. I mean, it was a quick meeting that we originally had back in April about this property. Presto was looking at a couple other facilities, not only in Wisconsin and the metro area here, but also in Illinois as well. So I think we're very fortunate here that we've been able to hopefully work out a developers agreement with Presto that brings them into our community. They're going to be bringing about, over time, 20 to 30 new jobs at the beginning into our community, into the facility as well. And if you look at their past practice and talked with other communities and the representatives that are here today, I mean, they're a business that's here to stay. And we're excited because this, expands on our business park out in the industrial park right now, as well expands the type of business and jobs that we're bringing here. The developers agreement that's in front of you, that was prepared by Alan Markowitz. If you guys remember, that was the attorney that was here Tuesday night. We have engaged Alan due to the fact that this is slightly a unique situation. The city had a previous developers agreement out on that property. Unfortunately, the bank now owns that building. So we were working with attorney Alan Markowitz for two reasons. One, to flush through the issues of the existing developers agreements that are out there on the site, but also, as many of you guys are aware, TID 3 is actually a distressed TID right now. So it is a little bit of a challenge to provide any type of financial incentives currently to Presto. Alan has worked through other communities before that have had distressed TIDs and tried to figure out I don't want to say a creative way, but a economical way that, you know, does not provide any risk to the city at the end of the day, but also captures the opportunity to bring development into areas and TIDs that are distressed at this time. The proposed agreement in front of you is an incentive package not to exceed $250,000 total. Payments would be a pay-as-you-go financing. Presto is agreeing to a certain dollar amount for the appraised property per year, and those actual payments, which are in that schedule in your packet, wouldn't start until 2017, are at about a little bit over $34,000 per year. By extending the payments out beginning in 2017, that allows the city, along with Presto, to begin their operations and actually start generating some new income into the TID that would provide for the incentive package. As a good faith to the project as well, Presto has talked about some expansion plans in the future and are seeking to acquire the property that's directly west of their property right now. Currently, the city of Waupaca owns that parcel. It's about 2 or 2.5 acres. That property is valued at about $45,000, a little bit over $45,000. We would actually convey the ownership of that property to them by the end of the year after they close on the property, and that piece of parcel of land would actually start generating taxes in 2016 as well. So that's part of the incentive package as well. I've been working with Kathy, brought her in early on the process to make sure that we can afford this at the end of the day, not only our budget wise, but also within the TID district. And that was the reason why we brought Alan on board, and we feel comfortable with this incentive package that we're presenting to the council today. I would invite at this time Brad Hansen, who is, I won't say president, of Presto, to make a little presentation to the council as well and introduce himself along with the organization to you guys as well. Just at the podium.
Okay, right. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming on short notice on Thursday morning. I really appreciate it. I'm Brad Hansen. I'm the president of Presto Specialty Group, and I'll give a little bit of history of Presto in case if you're not familiar with the organization. Presto was founded back in the 1960s out of a garage somewhere around Appleton, and has grown and grown and grown since then as a significant employer in the Appleton area, and also consequently in Waupaca. And Presto has gone through a number of different ownership changes. We were owned by Coca-Cola, and then we went private. We were owned by Alcoa, and then went private. And then now we're owned by Reynolds Aluminum, Reynolds Group Holdings, which is actually owned by a single owner, Graham Hart, out of New Zealand, and he's a buy and hold kind of guy, and he doesn't tend to buy property or businesses and flip them, and he just stays tight. So he owns a number of businesses around the world, and Presto is underneath Reynolds. We have the word from as we've gone through those transitions over the years, the word has always been to don't touch Presto, leave them alone. They're doing great, they make lots of money, and they have a great employee base. Don't mess with them. Consequently, I had a meeting on Monday, which is an annual process of reviewing all the people that we have that could potentially retire. And I have numerous employees that are at 25 to 40 years of service with the organization. Just to give you an idea how Presto is, we're a long-term employer. We have people that stay with us for a long time. Presto overall is about $700 million in revenue, and we have our operations in Waupaca, which employs. Waupaca has been in place for a couple of decades, and currently employs. We have about 130 to 140 hourly workers, We also tend to, and we do, bring on summertime help and college help, college employees, which is always helpful for our community as a place to grow. We've had my side of the business, which is the specialty business, is made up of 4 different legs to the business. One is a product line called Fresh Lock, the other called Slide Right, Specialty Films, and Geosystems. And Fresh Lock and Slide Right are focused on making resin-based or poly-based closures, press-to-close zippers for, let's say, your cheese, shredded cheese bags or pouches. The slider that you see on some of the pouches, we own 90% of the world market on that. We have over 280 patents or patent applied for, so we're an innovative company. We're constantly, these 2 gentlemen have a number of patents in our organization, and so we're an innovative company. We continue to grow. We typically grow about 9 to 10% per year. That's been typical. Right now, Fresh Lock is 22% ahead of last year. We don't see any end in sight right now. We are strapped in Waupaca. We are out of capacity, and we need to grow somewhere. So underneath Graham Hart is a lot of real estate. We evaluated many of the other buildings that are under his ownership and sister companies, and we also looked at other facilities around the area. And rail service is important to us, and one thing that's also important to us is that we didn't want to start up a facility too far away from Waupaca. We would like to be able to take some of our existing management leadership base and have them work in Waupaca as well as Waupaca. And we also currently employ, I wish I knew the number, but there's a number of people from Waupaca that work in Waupaca, and vice versa, because we're only about 8 miles away from each other. So, the goal is to grow close to Waupaca, leverage the staff that we have, but we also have to expand and grow. And that's why we need the building. We're just completely out of room in Waupaca. So, looking at back to the rail discussion, we found that rail overall is complicated in terms of setting up a property. And we have rail access with this building. The reason we're all meeting so quickly is because we've gone through a lot of gyrations to try and figure out how to make 99 South Royalton work from a rail perspective. And it's challenging, but what we decided to do, as early as Monday this week, we weren't sure if we could make the building work out. And by the end of the day, Monday, and certainly Tuesday, and on a conference call we had today, we figured out ways to logistically get product into the building so we can continue or make that building work. So what our hope is and what our plan is that with the agreement, the developer's agreement, we'll pick up the property immediately to the west, which would be eventually used for a rail spur. Because of the cost of that spur coming in at about $1.5 million, that we need to grow the business by trucking resin in initially. And as we grow the business, then we can justify financially with a financial model to eventually build that rail spur. So, but we're a steady growth company. I don't recall that we've ever gone backwards. I've only been with the company for about 3 years, so I have a lot of the history, but I didn't live it. But we continue to grow, and any company that's ever been under me has continued to grow. Not at the speed of light, but nice, healthy, regular, year-over-year growth. And we're very safety conscious. Every meeting starts with a discussion on safety, and that starts with Graham Hart, who's the owner of our company. Every meeting I'm in, which is usually once a month with him, starts with safety. And if you know anything about our organization, you know that safety comes first. So those are my opening remarks. Does anybody have any questions?
I know I've been familiar with the alternatives for the rail, and I know that's been very tricky for you guys. It sounds like you've worked something out in the short term, but you're ultimately still thinking about that first alignment that we were talking about to, be south of the main line and build that facility. So you're still going to need This is for council's benefit more than anything, but we're still gonna have to get that easement across the city-owned land that we've reserved for rail, right?
Right, correct.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's worded in the agreement.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'll be important, because I don't know if, how familiar you are with the property and the rail structure over there, but the Fox Brothers owns the property directly to the north, on the north side of the rail. And we've had numerous discussions with Randy Fox, and he's looking at various options with his property. And we have a timeline that we need to satisfy in order to get an offer completed and signed with this building. And so it'd be nice to have everything nailed down with a bow on it, but it's not going to happen. But we are talking to Randy. There's possibilities for putting a spur into the north side and then burrowing and putting a pipeline underneath to feed the resin back into our building that way. So we can either build to the south, or we could come up with some arrangement to the north. So we're looking at all of our options. The most ideal is at some point we do have to get to rail supplied resin.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have a stupid question, but on page 4 of the agreement, it says Presto is a, and it leaves it blank. What is Presto? I just went, what in the world?
Presto is a Delaware company.
Okay.
And just for the, and I didn't fully explain that. Thanks, Steve, there are some gaps in here, because we didn't, when this agreement was drafted back in, I would say, late April, early May, sometime in that period when we first engaged Mr. Alan Markowitz, we had sent this off. Again, we've been working with Presto since April and trying to figure out this agreement and everything else. There were some gaps in there, whether it's an LLC or anything else. There's a couple other dates in here that need to be changed. Also, the agreement that's in front of you guys was a little bit more pegged towards the rail spur, and the money's towards that. Some of that language is going to change, but the financial incentive package that's being presented here, the land donation and the payment schedule, is not going to change. There's only, I'll be honest, there's some cosmetic things that need to be changed within this agreement, but the main crux of it, the incentive package, is not changed. Presto, as of yesterday afternoon, still agrees to that. That payment schedule starting in 2017, and then also the land donation.
And also oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And our offer on the building is contingent on the TIF. The owner of our organization is just, he has a lot going on, a lot of businesses underneath him, but my side of the business has been growing very quickly over the years, and he's just really pretty darn excited about it. And so he said whatever building you pick up has to come with a TIF, and he was looking for, $250. So.
And then my other question would be to Ren. When I looked over the packet, it's talking about all these different things, Exhibit A, B, C, D, E, and F, and I only got G in my packet.
Right, some of those exhibits still need to be put in here, and mainly those exhibits are the surveys of the property. Some of that information we do have to date, some of the information that's going to have to be provided yet before we actually sign this agreement.
And again, restating, I was not able, it was as early as Monday, we couldn't make a business case to make this building work out, and throughout the week it's come together. And tomorrow, Friday, is when I need to render a decision on the building. So that's why the urgent meeting.
So, anybody else have any questions? Let me ask you, let's go back to the railroad spur. Except for the easement that the city would have to give if they decided to do the spur on the south side of the tracks, the city would not be responsible for any cost to build that spur in the future? Is that our understanding?
I would say not at this time. I mean, again,
because when we originally talked, this incentive that we were going to refund to Presto included doing the railroad spur. So
Correct.
I want to make sure that, that's still part of this, and that we're not looking at coming up with some money in the future to build this spur.
no, I don't believe so.
That's not what we're contemplating.
Okay.
I mean,
I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
it would be the city's hope, I think, in the future, along with Presto. I'm talking with Brad yesterday. Hopefully there's some other partners and other entities that would be utilizing the spur that would actually justify. And that's where, in dealing with, is that Canadian National Railroad? In dealing with Canadian National Railroad, they would, I think, assist in some of this if the amounts are there and the actual load, and actual cars are there. They would probably, on their side of it, would probably invest in our assistance of this. But, you know, when this business park was developed years ago and the thought process was, and you can see in your packet, the hashed area, that was reserved by the city when they did some of the CSM and subdivision for a rail spur. But as we got more and more into it, the max line out there right now, that the main line is maxed at 38 to 42 cars a day, or trains a day, and Canadian National will not allow a spur off of that main line. So in order to do it, we have to put a side rail in plus a spur line, and that's where the roughly 1.5 million came in. Our original estimates of around 500,000 were a little bit off once we actually dove into it a lot more.
Well, and for those of you that I don't know this, that area that we're talking about where the spur is, that was to be able to give us the ability to cross Royalton Street if needed too, for industrial purposes too. So the city might be a participant in the future depending on.
And again,
the
we still
future
we still
development.
maintain that land, where the rail spur may go in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you, how much are you gonna pay for this building?
Let me think about that.
Okay.
The,
Well, let me ask you this also then too. This is assessed,
yeah, this is being broadcast. I prefer to tell you privately because we have not closed on the building yet.
okay, that's fine. The more important question is that, our local assessor does not assess this property. This is assessed by the state because it's manufactured?
It will be. Currently, the property is locally assessed.
But as soon
But
as
as
they
soon as
purchase,
Presto gets it, it will be assessed by the state because
Okay.
it will be manufacturing.
and our development agreement that we have here, I guess my point is that once you purchase this property, you're not gonna request from the state that the assessed value be decreased.
Well, and it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. If in the wording of the agreement, I'm locked down in agreeing to the assessed value that you've.
Well, I
determined for the
understand that,
building.
but I would prefer not, that it doesn't end up to be penalties and that it actually ends up to be tax dollars.
Right, that's not, we're not contemplating that, correct?
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any other questions? And you, have seen all the exhibits and the original document and you guys are okay with that?
Yes, yeah. Brendan's been very forthcoming. We've been working well together. I'm completely aware of everything that the agreement entails.
Okay, and Kathy, let me ask you this then too, just so, council members understand this too, that you have looked at this from a financial standpoint and this TIF, being a distressed TIF, is going to be able to afford this incentive that we're going to be doing.
Yes. In looking at the amounts, the fact that we will be putting the non-taxed parcel that the city currently owns back on the tax roll, which right away will give us an increment. And the fact that it's been over a 5-year period will also assist in that TID. It's not that big of an impact on the debt that's out there for that TID. So I'm comfortable with what we have and going forward with this agreement. I've also had, with Attorney Markowitz, make sure that we were in full compliance with the TIF laws and have no problems with it.
Great, great. We had this discussion when we met upstairs, and I think it's good that maybe, if you're okay with this, of just telling us again why you're ending up in Waupaca versus expanding in Waupaca, and that we're not stealing a business from Waupaca. These are basically, you're gonna have a few employees that are gonna come from Waupaca to Waupaca, but for the most part, they're gonna be new employees.
Right. Yeah, the most important thing about this is that Waupaca is at capacity. Because we have customers demanding business continuation planning of some kind, we're largely manufacturing our fresh lock and slide ride product out of one building. And so it's time to add on to that building or seek another site. And so that's why we're looking at another site. Excuse me. And as I mentioned earlier, the desire is to have something near Waupaca so that we can share employees back and forth. There will be net gain in employees. We'll have to add people. When you put up a new building, there's infrastructure in terms of human infrastructure that needs to be in place to be able to support that. And those jobs will be posted in the area, and anybody can apply for them. As I've mentioned before, our growth has been very steady, and we initially need to put several extrusion lines into this new facility. I think that one thing that was mentioned earlier is the timing. As far as closing, right now the latest closing date would be November 10th, but that's because of the way the agreement is worded with several different stages in it. We plan on rendering a decision tomorrow, which means we'll cast a new closing date, which will be brought in. I can't tell you what that will be yet, and all the parties will have to agree in terms of what the timing is on that. It'll take us about 6 months to prepare the building for production, and after closing, and then sometime between 3 months to 6 months after that, we'll be able to commence production. So.
Good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I didn't have a chance to study this. I really didn't. I just got it this morning. I was happy just to run through it. But on page 10, section 8.1, it talks about the effective date until December of 33. I don't
That's the
understand.
TID.
that part of it.
The TID expires.
The TID ends then.
Okay.
That,
I realize
because it's
now.
a distressed TID, it has an extension to 2033. However, we can't do any more incentives, I think it's for 3 years. So 2018 is our cutoff point for giving any incentives within this TID from the date. Okay?
Thank you. Sorry.
You're sorry for asking questions?
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I should have understood it, but I didn't understand it.
That's fine.
And my sincere apology again for the short notice for everybody. I really appreciate you being here.
No, well, I mean, I can't speak for everybody that's here, but we're excited that you guys are coming here too, and that you're filling a building that has been empty for a number of years, and we look forward to working with you. So I think we would have easily walked the extra mile to make sure that we got into some kind of discussion on this and an agreement.
Well, and that's another reason that we're standing here today and we're all meeting today is really, as we looked at the other communities, we looked at quite a few other buildings, and really Brendan and Henry and the rest of you have really reached out to us and made us feel welcome and wanted in the community much more than the others. And I think we're off to a good start.
Awesome. If there's no other questions, then we would be looking for a motion. Brennan, explain what the motion should say.
We'd be making a motion to approve the developer's agreement with an incentive package not to exceed $250,000.
We have a motion by Mayo, a second by Jillian Peterson, that we enter into a development agreement with Presto with an amount incentive that does not exceed $250,000. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson. Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson. Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
and Steve Hackett.
Aye.
7 ayes, motion carried.
All right, that's it. We need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Hackett, second by Olson, that we adjourn until our next regular scheduled meeting, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're adjourned at 10:31 p.m. Thanks, everybody, for attending and watching.
Thank you.
Aye.